The 1986 Super Bowl Giants had one of the most fierce and dominant defenses on the planet. With Bill Belichick at defensive coordinator, they punished people for just stepping on the same field as them. And now it's time for you to incorporate that into your Madden scheme. Let's go. Now Belichick's 3-4 scheme consists of 3 defensive linemen and 4 linebackers. This gives your elite edge rushers the freedom to blitz, drop back in coverage, and attack the run. And in this position was a man named Lawrence Taylor, who was one of the best players to ever play the game. Belichick was able to consistently put his best players in a position to attack the offense every single play, all while using this 3-4 scheme. Now by using these 4 variations of Belichick's plays, you'll be able to punish players just like the Giants. So let's get into the first play, which is pinch buck 0 in the multiple D playbook under the 3-4 odd formation. Now this pinch buck 0 blitz is as deadly as any other meta blitz in the game. This play is actually a variation of Belichick's Firefox 0 blitz. Now let's get into the adjustments for this play. The first thing I want you to do is substitute your best edge rushers in the outside linebacker position. You can do this by pressing Y or triangle on the formation. Then I just want you to leave all the coaching adjustments on default. And then once you pick the play, I want you to pinch your linebackers. And the way you do that is pressing right on the D-pad and down with the left stick. After you pinch your linebackers, I want you to put them on a QB contain. And the way you do this is pressing R1 or RB twice. This will give your edge rushers a better route to the QB for a sack. For the coverage adjustments, all I want you to do is either press Y or triangle and up on the right stick. This will tell your secondary to be cautious of any deep balls. And that is one of Belichick's main goals in this defense, to never give up the deep ball and to make the offense beat you with methodical drives. And lastly, just make sure you're using the middle linebacker that is blitzing. That way you can fake the blitz and then drop back in coverage to take away your opponent's first read or anything up the middle. Now this play can easily get to the quarterback rushing 5 people like you see here. But here's a tip to make your coverage even better. In this play, I saw that Travis Kelce was the single receiver on the right side. Knowing that corner routes are metas in this game, I wanted to take away that read. So as soon as he snapped the ball, I ran towards Kelce and where the corner route would be, and I locked it down. That clearly made my opponent anxious and he almost threw a pick. And that's how you rattle your opponents and win the game on defense. And now we're gonna go over Belichick's most used coverage on the Giants, which is cover 2. Cover 2 has 2 deep safeties, 2 flat defenders, and 3 zones underneath. But to make this coverage more effective on Madden, we're just gonna change the coverage up a little bit. So cover 2 is known to be susceptible to corner routes, vertical routes, and any deep middle routes. So we are going to make this coverage harder to exploit those areas. Now the first thing I want you to do is press R3 on your controller to go to coaching adjustments. Go to auto alignment and put on base. After that, I want you to go to zone drops and go to curl flats and put it on 25. Then go down to flats and put that at 5 yards. And I'll show you why in a second. Once you pick the play, the first thing I want you to do is to put these 2 linebackers on a curl flat, the purple zones. And the way you do that is pressing A or X on these defenders and going to the right with your left stick. These purple zones will tell the linebackers to play at a 25-yard depth, which will take away any corner routes. And the blue zones, the flat defenders, will be at 5 yards, taking away anything underneath. And the second adjustment is just for you to be the middle linebacker guarding the middle of the field. One tip I do have for you in this play is that you can move the deep safeties more towards the sideline to take away any outside vertical routes. Now in this play that I'm about to show you, I've been letting my opponent hit a lot of plays underneath. So after a few plays, I decided to play cover 2 to guard the underneath routes. You can see that the opponent got so used to throwing the ball underneath that he almost threw a pick right to me. But for the third play, we are going to go over cover 4 drop. Coverage wise, this play initially has 4 deep zones and 4 underneath zones, but that will change once we make our adjustments. So the first adjustment I want you to make is to go to coaching adjustments and put the auto alignment on base, but everything else on default. Now I will say that depending on what your opponent is doing, you could put your curl flats on 25 yards. yards. But I would only do that if they're running a lot of corner routes. But most of the time, I usually keep this play on all default except the auto alignment. Now, the blitz aspect of this play is either called rip weak or rip strong based off of Belichick's playbook. This just means that one DN will be blitzing and the other will be dropping back in pass coverage. Whatever side has the least amount of receivers on it, I want you to put your DN on a blitz. And you do that by pressing on him with X or A and then pressing down on the right stick. And since that player on a blitz now was on a curl flat, we're gonna exchange coverage keys with the defender above him, which is the linebacker. So we're gonna go to that linebacker and press X or A and then go to the right with the left stick to put him on a curl flat. So now we have 4 defenders over the top and 3 underneath with 4 blitzing. Now, although in this play you only have 4 rushers, the blitz stunt actually gets to the QB very efficiently like you see here. But before your opponent snaps the ball, be sure to be using the middle linebacker to scan the middle of the field. But not only can this rush get to the QB, the secondary usually is locked down in coverage like you see here. And with a great rush and a lockdown secondary, your opponent is going to be in shambles. And hopefully you've been able to see that all of these plays look exactly the same. So the offense can't really read what you're in. Now let's get into my favorite play, match cover 4 quarters. The only pre-snap adjustments you need to do for this play is to make sure it's on base and go all the way down in the coaching adjustments and put on match. And then everything else needs to be on default. Now cover 4 quarters has 4 deep zones and 3 underneath. But the match concept will put these guys man to man if a receiver enters their zone. So mixing in this match coverage will make your opponent confused and lead to interceptions and easy pass breakups. Just make sure you're using the blitzing linebacker so you do not mix up any of the match rules. So let me know how this defensive scheme worked for you and if you liked it. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next video.